I think so often when someone's injured or not able to participate in an activity, we dispose of them, you know, and they sort of fade into irrelevance.
Hi, everyone. My name is Latoya Burris of Shapely, and I'm here with Andy Duran and Jenn Marshall of Chub Rollz, and we're going to get into their story. So thank you guys again for joining me today. This evening, I'm on the East Coast, so it's this evening. But so Andy, how were you introduced to skateboarding?
I started skateboarding when I was a kid, in middle school and high school. I'm in my late 30s now, so I stopped skating pretty much after high school, and when the pandemic kind of kicked in and everybody was kind of at home, I had my old skateboard in my closet still. I was thinking about getting back into it. I was always a fat kid and a heavy person, so that never stopped me from skating before. So I was curious what skating in my current older, heavier body would be like. And I went online looking for information for fat skaters, and I was super bummed that I didn't see almost anything. Not really for skateboarders, a little bit for roller skaters, and a lot of fat phobia online. So I got real bummed out, but Jen was like, don't let that bum you out. Like, if you can skate, like get back into it, and like, let's document it, and like, let's put it on the internet so folks can know fat skaters exist. And yeah, that was kind of the beginning of it for me.
Wow. Well, shout out to you, Jen. Thank you for giving Andy the push. So literally like kick push, like from the who was that, Lupe Fiasco? So
awesome.
From the cool
album.
Going back, yeah.
So like Jen, like for you, when Andy was telling you about his desire to get back into skating, like what were you thinking, like when he said it? Were there any phobias like that you experienced in or was it just like you had a positive attitude, like, oh, you could do that,
I think, seeing his journey and seeing the way he was like thinking about skateboarding, like the desire to do it and like the lack of representation and the impact it had on him, it really just made me want to encourage it even more, because I think sometimes, unfortunately, like we have to build our own sort of representation. And
right.
I think Andy is someone who just sort of naturally does that, like is naturally really good at like making ties with community, and has like a nice support system, I would say, around that, but also just that drive and that desire. And so like for me, as his friend, his partner, like eventually his co-organizer, like I wanted to encourage that, and I really wanted that space to exist for me even, and everybody else in the community.
Right.
So it felt really easy to encourage.
Yeah, I just love how you guys have so much positive energy right now. It's just so great. So like, what are some of the like challenges that you guys have noticed for a person being of size, like pursuing skateboarding?
So the thing that really kind of bums me out the most is people hit me up a lot in the DMs, and they're like, hey, like I want to skate, like what special equipment do I need because I'm fat? What kind of extra things will I need, or like expensive board do I need to buy, or specialty roller skates? And the reality is that you can actually we ride on mainstream regular brand skates and skateboards all the time, and there is some great information that is helpful, like if it's roller skates, to look for metal plates instead of plastic ones, and if it's a skateboard, like certain things, like wheels that are going to feel more stable or things like that. But you don't need specialty things, but there's so much gatekeeping around who gets to have access to these activities,
Right.
that it really just makes us believe and feel, and even the folks that gatekeep it believe and feel, that this won't work for your body. And so one of my favorite things is just kind of like getting on every board I can find, every brand, every style, and being like, look, like my weight can do this, like you can do this too, like I bought this used, you can, you know, you're not going to break it, it's not going to buckle under your feet. And I think that's a really big part of it, is going against so much of the stigma that's been put out there, even the weight restrictions that are put on products. I mean, Jenn told me once, my favorite quote is, you know, when I was looking at skateboards and they were like, oh, you can't ride it over a certain amount of weight. And I was like, I don't think that's true. And even I was looking at couches and I was like, oh, this couch says you shouldn't sit on it if you weigh more than this amount of weight. And Jenn was like, if I looked at weight like requirements, I would never sit on anything, you know, like, and that's the reality. It's real, like, you know, like, and so I think that's kind of the thing we have to kind of remind ourselves is, the people that are scaling these things, they don't know what they're scaling for. They don't know how they're scaling it really. And maybe they're scaling a skateboard to see how long it'll last if you're jumping off 10 stairs every day, 20 times a day, trying to do a huge trick. But like maybe for like my body type to just ride to the corner store and back, it's fine, right? Like, so I think that's the biggest thing that bothers me, is us feeling like we can't even try out the stuff that exists.
Yeah, and that's really interesting too, because here at Shapely we have this initiative, or more like an issue coming out soon. It's called Fatty Friendly, and it's all like, what we do is like we rate things based on like whether or not we deem this restaurant or this you know, airliner, if they're fatty friendly.
Yeah.
And our favorite is Southwest. We consider them fatty friendly, but But,
we know. Give me that extra ticket. There we go.
But it's really cool to hear that, even like, you know, thinking about even products like skateboards, like, you know, you do think that, like, how many times we've been to amusement park, or they'll say, oh, like you're not going to be able to fit, or like this, you know, it's just interesting to see that even with something as small as a skateboard, there's like restrictions, or there's a barrier that might prevent people from even considering or trying to do something.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's important that we have representation. We have people that look like us that are doing these things, so that we know, like, hey, that's a bunch of baloney. You can get on a skateboard, you can ride, you know?
Yeah. There are some very real things that, I mean, Jenn is really good at like advocating for, like you talk about those pads.
Oh yeah, you know, there's, you know, and I think that it all ties into like, you know, what society thinks of fat bodies in general, you know?
Yes.
And I think for me, like it starts with the whole like sort of gym class experience where it's like, you know, you're not invited to participate in a certain way. I remember having to like order specialized clothes because they didn't have clothes that fit for my body type, like as an 8th or 9th grader, you know? And I think that starts this sort of like schema of like fit people look like this, or like people who move or people who exercise or do certain activities look like this. And so therefore that's all we're going to cater to in our like demographics, in our marketing, in our like the way that we create things for fat bodies. One of the biggest issues for a lot of skaters who are fat is finding like protective gear that fits us, you know, like things like pads and helmets, and, you know, even like skates with bigger shoe sizes or wider with you know, feet and stuff like that. And it's like, it's really a shame, because if you really like think about all the people that you're leaving out, like that's a whole different market. It's not smart business, but it's also has this huge impact on fat people and our own perceptions of what we can and can't do.
And it also perpetuates the stigma that you can't be fat and active, which we always fight against that, you know?
Right.
Exactly.
Like, what does an active person look like? It doesn't mean that they can't be fat. There's a ton of like amazing people out here who are fat and they're super strong and super
Yeah.
fit, you know? So it's just, I'm happy that I feel like that that is changing or evolving. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because of work like people like us, right?
100%.
Totally. And it's like sometimes when there's like there are fit people who are fat, it's like they even get sensationalized or pigeonholed even more to like you have to be this elite level of fit
Yeah.
to be fit and fat. Whereas like I think one of the great things about what Andy created and like the things about Chub Rollz is we are beginner based. So it's like if you kind of suck at skating, come like have fun anyway, like just enjoy being around other people who are moving, playing, and having fun.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
the biggest part, you know, is that you're creating a space for people to try something even if they're not good at it. And I think that even for me, my whole pressure I put on myself in the beginning was maybe I should do this all at home on the down low, like skate. And then when I'm really good, I'll go out and then I'll be like, oh yeah, secret weapon, like fat skater, nobody knew about. And, you know, but I was realizing that was making me feel very like isolated and hidden. And like I could only show myself if I was like a good fat, right? Like, you know, like kind of like that feeling of, you know, I can't be seen eating in public unless I'm eating something healthy, right? Like, so it's like these things of, I could only be out in public if I was representing the community at its best. And I feel like that was when Jenn was like, that's too much pressure to put on yourself. Like, what about the folks that just want to try to skate, you know, and like are like thinking about it. And I think that's important.
I'm happy that you even got out of your head with that, because I know I'm totally an overthinker, and I call it the Alice in Wonderland effect, where I'm just chasing the rabbit. So I'm happy that you got out of your head, because, you know, if you did it, like, this probably wouldn't exist today. So, you know, this is like, you know, again, wonderful. But you know, now that we know that, you know, for us next month we're focused on wellness and self-care, and that's when this video will be dropping. So how has skateboarding become an outlet for you, you know?
So you know, I mentioned that I started skating again during the pandemic, and I think that was really important for me. It first started out as like an outlet for, you know, just kind of moving again, because I was working from home and so I wasn't moving as much. But I also didn't realize how much like kind of grief I was going throughout the year. I had lost 12 people over the 12 months.
Wow.
And it was really intense for me. At a certain point, it got really kind of normalized. And not all to COVID, through lots of different situations where folks that seemed otherwise healthy, I think there was only one that was an expected, you know, loss there. And so that was just really, really tough for me. And I got this kind of kick of, you know, like, I don't want to put my life on hold. I don't want to wait until, you know, I'm better or more, you know, equipped for something. Like, I just want to do the things I want to do now, just while I can. And, you know, I was like, okay, well, let's pick one. Like, you've been wanting to skate, it's in the room, you got the time, let's make that happen. And getting out of my head every day and like skating was amazing and so helpful for me. And I know that that was similar for Jenn, personally as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had lost my mom to COVID.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it was really difficult. Like, it put me in a huge state of depression. You know, plus like with everything shifting at my job, and like
everything was crazy.
And I was, you know, privileged. I got to work from home, but even just like working in a different capacity and having to like figure out like how to work and stay, you know, keep my own mental health, you know, going during this pandemic was really interesting, while also holding grief. And so skating definitely one, like, just got me into a routine. Like, I wasn't leaving my house very often. I didn't go to stores. I'm at higher risk, or if I contract COVID, I'm more likely to die because of several reasons, including society's perception of fat bodies.
Yeah.
It's like we're more
medicalized treatment of fat
Yes.
bodies and other groups as well.
Yeah.
So it's like there was a lot there. And so skating, one, gave me that like drive to go try and move and like be out in the world again. But also I think like skating's really scary. Like there's one thing, like everybody is like scared most of the time as you're trying new things skating. And so I think, my day job is I work in mental health, and I work with people who experience, physical and sexual violence. And so, really understanding how folks can, like, one, build awareness of their bodies and how you're feeling in a moment, and also like pushing through, potential anxiety or fear and just trying something, or like the practice of like, I'm going to start small and this will lead to something bigger, is such
Right.
like a huge mechanism of like self-care, like, also just self-focus and having space to kind of figure out like what you want to do and how your body works and how your body approaches fear and pushes through it.
That's awesome. And like, it's interesting, how we all find different ways to cope or to work through our different issues, or just, like you said, take care of ourselves. Even if it's 5 minutes of meditation, or if it's just getting on a board and like spinning around the block real quick. I'm also terrified of the skateboard. So
Jenn's more of the roller skater, the quad skater. I'm terrified of quads. I could step off of a skateboard if something, oh no, there's a tree limb on the ground, but no, you have to kind of figure out, yeah. But yeah, the group is really, all wheels, and it's like this idea of just being in your body and knowing how to hold your body and working with balance, working with the ground, looking around your terrain all the time. Like it can be really amazing, because it is both like, very distracting and also very meditating, right? So it's like grounding while also being like hyper aware at the same time.
So I'm gonna ask you guys just 2 more questions. What has like been the biggest impact you think Chub Rollz has had like on your community and the people who join you guys from day to day?
So we have a really great group. I have probably we get DMs and messages from people all over who aren't a part of the Bay Area, who can't come locally, and that's been amazing. But as far as our actual local participants go, we've had the same core group of folks come to every event. They've made great friendships with one another, which is really adorable. I often see them skating together we only meet monthly, and yet we get together probably weekly to skate every weekend, and then I see them skating together on their off days. So it's just really amazing to see like folks that are super motivated and just have made a community of friendships and connection, and to really watch their improvement. I mean, it's not about that. Like, you can be in the exact same place skating as you were when you started, and that's fine. But there's quite a few of them that like are really, really great skaters now. They're like doing all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, man, you joined the group 4 months ago and you were stood on it for the first time. Like, like that's amazing.
One of the more recent kind of discoveries for me that has been kind of fun is I was injured probably 2-3 months, I don't even remember. It's been a while, and I hurt my knee pretty badly. And I haven't been able to skate since, because, and like I've just now started building up again in physical therapy and just now starting to stand on the board. But something that's been like interesting for me about this group and the skate community is like, I think so often when someone's injured or not able to participate in an activity, we dispose of them, and they sort of fade into irrelevance. And we've really tried to keep this spirit of like no body is disposable in our group. Like even if you're just there to watch people skating as a fatty, like, and you just want to hang out, like there's going to be people that are resting. There's going to be someone to talk to. We even have some participants who will like help people and hold their hands, even if they're not skating. And it's really beautiful to see, because I think, yeah, there's just so much like ableism and healthism wrapped up even in body positivity and even in fat affirming spaces, that we really want to hold on to that. And I think that is a huge gift in itself, like for me and for our community.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's really beautiful to have, I'm kind of a mid-fat or a large fat, but we have some like much larger super fats that come out, and they're just like the welcome committee, and they're just like, hey, we just love coming and cheering you on as you get on the skateboard, like, and I just think that's really amazing, because we want everybody to feel welcome in this space, all the body sizes of fat.
Thank you. And thank you for saying that, because that's also important, because it's funny to even see when there's bias around the different sizes too. So
yeah.
The more inclusion, the better, So for final, just tell all the viewers, where can they learn more about Chub Rollz and find you guys?
So you can find us on Instagram. It's Chub Rollz with a Z, so Rolls with a Z. And Jenn is going to be making a TikTok page with the same account. So
excited.
you can see some of our skating reels and whatnot there. And we also have a Facebook group, or it's the same name, so Chub Rollz on Facebook. And right now, you can find our GoFundMe and support us as we are fundraising to send our group to SoCal. So, yay!
Oh, that's awesome! That's awesome! And I definitely will be sharing that on this when this video comes out well. Yeah, totally cool. And you guys can watch more videos at shapelyevents.com. So
absolutely,
thank you guys again for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.